and I saw the fingers there too. Not just once, but twice. I noticed them almost every day for about 2 years. Houses were being built then, not as quickly as today. Then it began. A terrible thing started happening on the construction site, starting with the foundation because water seeped into the pit from somewhere. One not-so-beautiful day, 3 workers drowned in it. No one made a fuss, and it was never reported in the newspapers, but rumors about the triple drowning spread quickly. Supposedly, these 3 workers were drinking and decided to go for a swim in the pit while intoxicated, and they drowned. It sounds ludicrous because the water was waist deep, and it was more like liquid mud. To go swimming in mud after drinking that much? It's horrifying to imagine. So, only the most gullible believed that story. I didn't believe it, and neither did anyone who had seen the pit through the fence opening. And then things got worse. In the fall, one man was run over by a tractor, and another was electrocuted, and these incidents happened within 2 weeks, no more. Then, 2 more workers disappeared, and they were never found. Rumors started again. Some said they ran away in fear, while others claimed they were entombed in the concrete floor of the future basement. Tanya, I don't know what's true and what's not, I'm just telling you what I know. Then, there was a lull during the winter, but in the spring, the nightmares at this house resumed with even greater intensity. First, a crane almost fell, but luckily didn't harm anyone. Then, a concrete slab broke loose and crushed a man to death, but I didn't see that myself. However, I did witness the next death, unfortunately. A worker fell from the 13th floor and was killed instantly. Can you imagine? From that height? People gathered around the fence, but what kind of ambulance can help from such a height? All that remained of the man on the ground was a shapeless mass, as there was no asphalt there at the time. And there were more incidents, but I don't have the strength to write about them in detail. This house took 12 lives during its construction, Tanya. Just during its construction. Can you imagine? Probably not. But they built it. People moved in there, and living conditions were even worse than they are now. They moved in because they had no other choice. And then it all began. I got all the news from Lida. She was a good woman, intelligent and decent, but her family life didn't work out. Her husband left her, and her daughter turned out not so great. She struggled through life. She deserved a much better life, but things turned out as they did. Lida moved there in the 80s after recovering from her illness. Remember her battle with cancer? She got a job in the same building as an accountant, handling payments from the residents. It wasn't a complex accounting job, you know. As the accountant, she knew everything about all the residents, as you can imagine. So, she would tell me about what was happening there nearly every week. I still get chills from these stories, Tanya. Her neighbor, who lived right next door, Chia, lost her son. It was horrifying. He died in a car accident, so young, and he crashed so badly that they had to bury him in a sealed coffin. Or the daughter of one citizen, a healthy, cheerful young girl. She went to a dance, came back with pneumonia, and then spent 2 months in the hospital, hooked up to machines. Lida told me that abscesses appeared on her chest and back, and her lungs were coming out through these abscesses along with pus. Terrifying, right? And the Pyatkins, that's beyond belief, in my opinion. In 6 years, the whole family went mad, and all the women in the family jumped out of the window every 2 years, the same 13th floor, remember? I asked you not to forget about the worker who died. Well, this is it. It's as if he pulled them all with him, and his talented daughter was the first. First, they diagnosed her with schizophrenia, and she suffered for 2 years, and then, as if she had a revelation, she left a note and jumped out of the window. Something like, "I'm sorry, Mom, Dad, and Grandma, but I can't wander in the depths of my mind's darkness anymore," or whatever is left of it. After burying their daughter, the mother followed suit, jumping out of the same window, and the grandmother was the last. Her father remained, but he quickly disappeared into the unknown. Luda didn't know what happened to him. She just said he was gone. He was here, and then he was gone. No one looked for him. In such cases, Luda, may she rest in peace, told me about almost every time she came over for tea and a chat. It was all we heard from her. Someone lost their mind, drank themselves to death, drowned, hanged themselves, jumped, overdosed, and so on, and our hair stood on end from such revelations. What a great place to live, right? Or not a place, but a location. By the way, I tried to find out what was there before this house was built, and it turned out to be nothing. And it had always been nothing. It was just an empty field, and an old road ran past it, leading to the center of our peninsula, which had been laid many, many years ago, as they say, back in the old days, during Tsar Goroka's time. Further down the road, there were settlements, and this place remained empty, as you can see on old maps. So, I'm thinking it must have been left empty for a reason. Maybe someone knowledgeable took a look, shook their head, clicked their tongue, and said, "Don't settle people here, settle them farther away." So, they settled farther away, and here people just passed by, spitting over their left shoulders. As they say, man proposes, and God disposes, Tanya. Don't worry, you're a smart and sensitive girl, you'll figure it out. If you sense something bad, take your child and husband and step aside, and everything will be fine. Just be cautious of people with lifeless eyes who show up at gatherings and construction sites. In general, it's better not to get too close to such places. Your health is more important. Take care of the little one, and don't let him have a fate like ours, with Zena and me. We lost something to those fingers back then, and our fates turned out quite empty. They took something from us, and we ended up with empty lives. May your son have a full and happy life, he's a lovely boy. It's terrifying, Tanya, something different. It's terrifying how fools unwittingly cause harm and then face the consequences, big time. Take an ordinary worker, for example, someone who came to Moscow in search of a better life, signed up to work on the construction site, and then they told him, "Here's an old house, and there's a park. You see? Tear down the house and clear the park." "Okay," he says, takes a chainsaw, and goes to cut down a 100-year-old tree. Then he uses a bulldozer to turn the house into a pile of rubble. Meanwhile, fingers watch him from somewhere with their lifeless, empty eyes, and later, the worker, who earned his hard-earned ruble, sees his son getting sick. Or his daughter. Or more often, both his son and daughter, and his wife loses her mind, and he, who used to drink only on holidays, starts reaching for the bottle. And a generation later, only a few graves with crooked crosses remain in his family, because you can't build your happiness on someone else's misfortune. It backfires. It always backfires. But those fingers, they speed up the process tenfold. They cut down the forest on the other side of the river, remember? They dug into the depths of the earth with their grinning cameras. Mark my words, in 10 years, only crosses and weeping over those piles will be left of them. And I don't feel any sympathy for them. When they filmed the interview, I noticed the fingers. They stood in the distance and watched. They probably chose who they needed. And this is just an interview, but imagine how many fingers wandered around in normal times. I can tell you one thing for sure, anyone who engages in such activities and settles in such places will not have anything good in life, and they never will. Yes, maybe they scared off some spirits temporarily, perhaps the city loosened its grip for a while, but it will tighten it again. Just as it did for almost 1,000 years before. Payment will come, for each and every one, maybe not immediately, but inevitably. And here's another thought. I only saw the fingers, and the grandmother and my mother too. Just fingers, nothing more. It's terrifying to even imagine what might happen if the city gets so angry that it doesn't just show its fingers, but maybe its whole hand. Or even its head, raises it. It's better not to provoke it, I believe. Let it be at peace, and we'll be at peace. Oh, Tanya, I've written quite a bit, and you're probably tired of reading. Well, it's time to wrap it up then. I wish you, my dear girl, and your family peace and prosperity, and may Deniska's allergy finally go away, and may Dima get the scooter he's been dreaming of. I hope everything goes well for you. Sending hugs. Your Aunt Malva, and Charlie, who is now not a white poodle, but a gray one, a real mess on the dacha, but I'll write about that another time.